Good evening. Just a quick word about what this video is before we really get into it. I was invited on to an episode of Storybreakers with Chris Brennan, which is basically where we sit down and come up with an entire movie on the spot. Which, when he reached out to me asking if I wanted to do this, I was like, that sounds awesome. Absolutely, I want to do that. I wanted to preface this because the session that he invited me for was for original Christmas horror. He recently did a run of Halloween sequels, and I wasn't able to make that one, but I was able to do this one. I really wanted to make time for it because it's a really cool idea, and it was a very fun conversation. But yeah, I wanted to say that it's a little late, and I apologize to you all and also to Chris for this going up a little later than I had hoped. I'll make a dedicated video about this in a little bit, but something happened over Christmas that delayed a lot of my work. So this video is a little late, but it's still well worth watching. It was a really, really fun conversation, and it was something where when it ended, I'm like, man, I kind of want to write this now. I want to play around with this story because I think what we ultimately came up with was super cool, and I hope that you enjoy watching.
Welcome to Storybreakers, the show where we come up with a brand new film idea off the top of our heads. My name is Chris Brennan, and we're back with a brand new mini-series. Last time we took a stab at the Halloween franchise, breaking story on what the next chapter of that legendary series could be, joined by writers, filmmakers, and horror YouTubers from across the community. You can find all those episodes in our playlist. This time, though, we're feeling festive. So, welcome to the original holiday horror run, where each episode I'll be joined by a special guest to dream up an all-new holiday or Christmas-themed horror idea on the spot and off the top of our heads. And joining me for today's session is Evan from Rocklin Graves Productions. Evan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I've been looking forward to this. I love me some holiday Christmas horror. So
excellent. And that actually is my first question for you. Do you have a particular favorite film for the horror genre around the festive Christmas holiday season?
Man, the thing is, it's a tougher question for Halloween movies. There's not as many there's amazing Christmas horror movies, but there's not as many of them as with some other holidays. You can have simple answers, like Black Christmas would certainly be in my top list. I would also say Michael Dougherty's Krampus is a movie that I watch every single holiday season that it comes around. That's a cool movie because it doesn't feel like a Christmas horror movie. It feels like an actual Christmas movie that just happens to be horror, which is fun. But I mean, ultimately, it's not a particularly interesting answer, but I think my favorite, if we're counting, and I would because it's a ghost story, would be the 1951 Christmas Carol with Alistair Sim. That's got to be my favorite. I watch it every year. I have for my whole life.
Amazing. Actually, yeah, and Black Christmas, I watched that for the first time a few years ago, the original, mid-70s. I was shocked at how far ahead of its time it was, and how it does not get the flowers it deserves. You've got flashes of Halloween in there. You've even got a bit of Scream with the phone call and the prank calls. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this has so many elements that has inspired other more famous horror films.
Yeah, and I mean, also it's that movie dealt with some, especially at that time, very taboo social commentary. And they played with it in quite an unafraid way. And that was, especially for the time that the movie came out, it was really impressive to see them do that.
Yeah, for sure. So let's today come up with a brand new film idea to add to this library. So hopefully someday somebody can look at this and go, let's stick this film on. So as the whole concept of the show is, we're going to make it up completely off the top of our heads. So my first question is, we already know the genre and we already know the time frame. But do you have a particular type of subgenre you want to play with? Do you want to do it set in the past, the present, the future? Is it zombies, exorcism? What's your vibe for today?
I would like to do, kind of hearkening to what I mentioned being my favorite. I would love to do a sort of 19th century ghost story.
Nice.
That's kind of what I had pictured.
That's excellent. 19th century ghost story set at Christmas.
Yeah.
Excellent. Where would this be located? Would this be like the UK, the US, the East Coast? Do you have like a location in mind, or kind of a visual, like a castle, or?
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, I want to try to avoid just going Christmas Carol route, so we won't do like Victorian City.
Right.
I do think that like East Coast, sort of maritime, could be an interesting location for this.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, so do we have then a kind of idea for who our protagonist could be? A lot of times I find a good way to get into that is to figure out their gender and then try to figure out what their profession is. Okay. And then we kind of naturally kind of start building a scenario from there.
Okay. Yeah, that can work. Yeah, I gotta think. Maybe we have like a gruff 60-year-old fisherman or something like that.
I was thinking fisherman too, because what you were talking about reminded me of The Fog, actually.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's good. I was like, if you needed a little nudge, I was like, I'm catching fisherman vibes here.
Yeah. I think that'd be cool. And even perhaps we have someone who's spending Christmas at sea away from his family, and we can have this theme of the ghost kind of being that guilt of him being away from his family on Christmas due to the nature of his work. So we can already
That's true.
Pull from
so do you actually see them at sea? Like, is it set on a boat at Christmas, or
I think that could be cool.
Oh
yeah, if we had a crew of maritime fishermen who were trying to bring that feeling alive as much as possible, but they're in a very rough environment, so it's tough to do it, and they also have this guilt that's manifesting as something.
Yeah, and it's like a haunted boat.
Yeah, I love nautical horror, so we can
very
totally
good.
get that in there.
So I guess even then, is it a thing where they come across a wreckage, or is there some kind of thing that triggers it, or do you think it was more like they brought it on the boat with them and it's kind of like it's carried on from them, or is it like the Pandora's box of they come across some wrecked vessel and they investigate it? Maybe people are saying leave it alone, and then like, no, let's just check it out, and they bring some stuff on board with them.
That's a thought. I like, the wrecked vessel is certainly something we could pull from. I'm also thinking maybe it is something they took. Yeah. Maybe not a vessel, but maybe like one of them heard tell of some old shipwreck that they think might be down somewhere, and they're sure that there's like some sort of valuable item that they're wanting to grab, and in taking this item they wind up awakening the threat.
Gotcha. So I guess then we can probably find that in a little bit, but I suppose if they're fishermen out on a boat at Christmas, they're probably fishing, right?
Yeah.
So there's like they probably had a bad season and they just need to work especially hard to hit their quota, let's say.
Exactly.
And that means that they're out on sea. And our protagonist, does he have a family that he's left behind?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? That's pretty good.
Yes. Yeah. Because I think we can use that ghost as a way to kind of play with his guilt for leaving his family behind.
Yeah. And maybe there's something unique about the family. Like this might be the first Christmas after one of his sons or daughters passed away. So they're particularly vulnerable, and they're like, this is not the year that you should be going. Like, if there's any year you should be here, it's right now. And he's like, I gotta go. Like, we need this as a family. So you have that kind of familial conflict over, like, I need to do the job. I don't want to do the job,
Yeah.
And he probably has his crew.
To a degree, maybe he didn't really even need to. Maybe they're financially okay, but he's having a hard time dealing with what happened, and he can't spend Christmas at home with his family because he can't face that yet. He's trying to hide from it.
That's interesting too. I like that. Like, we're getting really dimensional with these characters already. But that's the good stuff,
Totally.
Like, you don't want, which happens, I think, in a lot of horror films, which is just dialogue, 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 and you're just waiting for the inciting incident or the moment to happen. It's like, no, actually, you can build some rich family conflict and a bit of drama where the audience can see both sides of the topic because it's such a deep concern. Yeah. I guess also what I'm trying to think of is how do we kind of pull a bit more Christmas theme into it when it's set on a boat with predominantly gruff fishermen.
True.
So maybe there's some other character that is trying to bring that Christmas cheer on. And like not everybody's interested in it, because I think then you can even have a little bit of character tension with the distraction of trying to do Christmas while they're clearly supposed to be doing some other more important work at the time. You know?
What if we had a younger fella on the boat who actually was in like dire financial straits and did need to do this and is trying to kind of bring that spirit alive? Like, I'm thinking they can even have like some decorations on the boat and stuff, and maybe he's distracted, like setting things up or trying to relax more than he should be because he's trying to bathe in what should be a cozy time of year, but isn't because of what he's obligated to do right now. And then that's obviously going to lead to tension between the people who've been battered by existing for too long.
Yes, I like that. I even like the age discrepancy. What we're trying to do, I suppose, now is just kind of invent some scenarios of interpersonal conflict, and then you can put then the ghostly apparition or the kind of horror factor on top of that, because you're probably going to want to see some doubt and some issues of mistrust and speculation for a while. You know, like they're not going to outrightly believe this, so we'll probably have a bit of fun conjuring up ghostly scenarios and misdirections on this boat. I'm having difficulty picturing the size of the boat. Like, what kind of size are you thinking for this? Because we probably want it big enough that they have cabins and and you go down the steps and
I don't think like areas. I'm not thinking something massive, but like medium to mid-large sized fisherman vessel, I think would be a nice thing. So that, like you said, we can have some isolation between characters, which can. Oh, sorry about that. We can have things that we can get people alone for and lead to some A, introspection, and B, some spooky stuff.
Yeah. And do you think crew size, is it like 12, 15 men?
That's kind of what I was thinking, yeah.
We want to get some bodies, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So I think we're getting the pieces of the opening. We're getting the characters we're developing a bit of motivation. I'd love to actually kind of leap into the horror figure now, the ghost. Is it a ghost that we're thinking of, or are we going demon level, or what are you thinking?
No, I don't want to go demon level. I want it to be something more ghostly, because I don't want it to be pure evil. I want it to be something that has a lot of like tragedy to it as well. Okay. Because of the way that I'm thinking about this ghost is that, not literally, but you can use it in the story as sort of like a manifestation of their guilt and the loss of this main character's child. So obviously we still want it to be intimidating and frightening, but I don't want it to be pure evil or anything like that.
Well, it's interesting too, because I can imagine the sound of the wind and the wailing of cries could kind of like audibly mix together, and that could even trick people early on to be like, you're hearing things, like.
Very true.
And so so you're really looking for tragic haunting, which is quite a very psychological, slower burn kind of tension rather than the crash bang wallop style or the violence.
Definitely.
Do we have like a vision of what we kind of see this entity as, or does it come into like some kind of spectral shape?
I don't know.
Is it too on the nose if it's like a child, or could it be? I don't know. I do kind of picture more of a human form, but maybe that's okay.
A lot of my thoughts with it aren't even so much how it takes shape, but more so how it like affects the environment around them, like what you're saying with the wind, and maybe the stars in the sky look a little strange in a sense. So I'm thinking about how it can build up to this thing, but we do need to have some reveal of it eventually. So I
Yeah.
suppose then it's the question of how do we construct that?
Yeah, I think we can naturally get to it. I think after we kind of explore a bit more of the opening, because what it sounds like now is that's pretty much where the climax is coming to, is the reveal. So everything leading up to it is slow burn movements and kind of supernatural occurrences, but you're hiding the entity itself. And we might even get to the end and be like, we actually don't need it. So some of these questions we can just chuck down the line 20 minutes and figure it out later. All right. So maybe we'll go back to the beginning and kind of, we do hop around quite a bit with this, but I do like to try to figure out like a linear structure. And then we might leap to the end. We might leap back to the beginning. So I can imagine we're with our protagonist. He's the fisherman. Maybe they're just burying their son or their daughter. So you start with a funeral. I mean, you can immediately see it. Then you can do a time jump maybe if you want, like 6 months later or something. So it is recent, but you've given them time to live with this, but not too much to, they'll never get over it, but maybe they can start to become comfortable with each other once again. So you give them a few months to even brew up some of that internal conflict, potentially.
Let me throw another idea out there, because I do like that. I also kind of like the thought of us not really knowing that something has happened at the start and kind of picking up on it through the way they're interacting and what they're saying to each other as he's preparing to leave for this fishing trip.
Okay.
So I'm thinking even if we opened with something like the remaining family, sharing a dinner together or something, and they're very tacit, not really wanting to speak much, and you can build up that tension and slowly get an idea of what's going on through their interactions. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. So we start at a dinner table, and we can totally do that. Now, is it set at Christmas then? So
it's not Christmas yet. I think this has to be like a week and a half before Christmas.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, so it's leading up.
Yeah, we're getting there, and maybe we can open with him informing his wife that he's going to be going on this fishing trip, and this is her learning about the fact that he actually is leaving this year.
And then he goes out to the tavern.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Like, there's a little conflict because he's been quite absent for months anyway since, because that's how he's been drowning his sorrows. So she was really hoping that this season would kind of bring them together so they can finally start to heal. And then he informs her, at the dinner table then, it could be her bringing up their plans. Family are coming together, like it's been rough, but they have a good shot at it. And then he reveals, like, I've taken the job. And it's like, what? But you never go at Christmas, It's like, it's been a rough season. Like, we need this. We don't need this. What we need is to be together. Like, and like,
she's
really
clearly doing a better job at trying to hold on to human connection after the fact, where he's just totally disconnected.
Yeah, which is already bringing in the beginning of your arc, Like, it's introducing the conflict that will be explored later on. I mean, his internal conflict where he has to get over or overcome his grief or accept it so he can actually move on. And this experience he's going to go on is going to force him to deal with it.
Sure.
I suppose.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a way to do it.
Is there anything else that we should have? I guess we need to introduce the crew then, right? Like, you're going to want to have... It's kind of like Aliens when they all wake up out of hyper sleep and you get this moment where everybody gets a little bit of a character bit. It's actually one of the best examples of a ensemble having those moments together, one by one, where you get just a little bit of interaction, but you get a ton of information about each character.
Yep.
So I could see something like that. Maybe it's down at the pub where he goes down to the tavern, and that's where you introduce like the crew, and you get a few of the different characters, their personalities, some of their motivation. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I think we have a solid opening there.
Yeah. And then I think we pretty much have to get them on the boat then. Like, I'm not sure how much more on the land we can actually be.
Yeah, I mean, we do still, man, again, it's like a week and a half before Christmas, so we can get a bit more of, discussion between the main character and his wife, and that could be how we kind of get a better idea of what has happened to them, because I think at this point, like, it's hinted at, but we don't really know. But if we can get, like, we can do like another scene of the, like, maybe a couple days before while he's getting prepared, and she's kind of like baffled that he actually, like, he said that he was going to do it, but she's kind of baffled that, like, he's actually doing this.
Yeah.
And so they have another discussion at some point that can kind of establish that. And then maybe there's also another scene with the crew where we kind of get an idea that all of them are, in a sense, doing something that they know they probably shouldn't be. This isn't the time to be leaving your family. And I think
I could see a character like one of his closer colleagues that joins him on the boat, and his wife actually knows him, so maybe she goes to this person and like talks to him about, like, just keep an eye on him, like, he's not really himself, like, I actually fear that he's going to be out there in the dark, in the cold, and something might happen. And he's like, I'll keep an eye on him, don't worry. Like, so we're giving him basically a best friend to go out there and keep an eye on him, which I imagine we're going to want to, like, play with and explore on the boat. This could be somebody who's like, you're cracking up, because he's going to start seeing something out there, and he's already been warned by the wife that this guy might not be ready for this type of trip.
Yeah.
And that gives us a bit more context, a bit more character at the beginning, in the week and a half leading up to getting on the boat itself.
Sure. Yeah, I like that. I think that we don't need to spend too much time on land.
I think we should probably start naming some of these characters. I think it'll get difficult to be like the main guy and the friend.
Sure.
I don't mind. For this, I don't really care what the names are. I usually don't want to spend too much time kind of pondering on it. So if you had any particular suggestions, I'm happy with it. Otherwise, I'm like, Tom is the main guy. Matthew is the friend.
I'm always so bad. Like, even when I watch movies, I'll never know what the names of the characters are. So coming up with them is probably not going to be my strong suit. I might just let you rip off some names. And
yeah. So Thomas is the main guy.
Okay.
Matthew is his friend, and then we'll kind of keep going from there. Even when I write, like, I'll just throw the names on there, and then later on, if I think of a nice one, it's find and replace. It's like, I do not want to waste any time when I sit down. I feel like it's a bit procrastination, where you're like, you sit down and start writing, and immediately you open up a tab and start digging around. I'm like, no, actually get the pages done, mister.
I kind of like that his name is Thomas, because stylistically, I'm probably wearing a bit of inspiration on my sleeve there. The main characters in The Lighthouse are both named Thomas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I like that kind of worked out there.
That's true. All right, so I have, like, Jaws is my favorite film. Record right there.
Hell
I can see that moment where they're getting on the boat. The wife is there.
I was thinking of Jaws, yeah.
He's got his crew. There's some rascals part of it. He's got his more stoic Matthew next to him, where he's like, just keep an eye on him,
Yeah.
She sees the copious amounts of alcohol going onto the boat, and she's like, that's not going to be good for anybody.
Yeah.
I won't touch a drop.
Yeah.
Actually, you have a really fun match cut with him going, I won't touch a drop. Cut to an absolute bender on the boat.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Like, they're just getting
for their
ripped.
first night to have that one last blowout before weeks of grueling fishing.
Yeah, that could be fun. You get a little bit more inner character turmoil. Maybe somebody pushes things too far, like says the wrong thing about the deceased son,
Yeah.
Then there's a fight. Because again, it's like you're brewing up tension, you're getting the conflict going. I think we're going to really want that kind of activity now to like really split the crew, and that one a-hole like going way too far and not wanting to back down because he's absolutely full of whiskey, you know.
Sure.
And Matthew's probably mediating the crew and is like, step aside. Oh, actually, I have a question. Is Thomas the captain of the ship, or is there a captain?
I don't think he's the captain. I think there does need to be a captain. Maybe Matthew's the captain.
Matthew can be the captain.
He kind of has that like level-headed, mediator kind of feel to it, which I think is a good quality for a captain to have.
Yeah, we're gonna want to know that, I think, for even the hierarchy. On the boat. It's not Bedlam. It'll turn that way. Great. Yeah, I love it. So Matthew's the captain, so he can break this up when it gets too far. And clearly, the other guy went too far. And now it's soured their party. And then next day, it's straight up work. You know, just the grueling efforts of fishing in December. And no results either, right? Like really poor results.
Yeah, they're not doing well.
No,
I don't think they're doing well at all.
You gotta add to their tension by just going out and just failing. You know, and like we're not coming back until we get a big haul. And like day after day, it's like just tin cans.
That's kind of where more of the tension from this. I guess we should name him too, the younger fella who's on boat, who is kind of wanting to be more Christmassy, and that's becoming less and less acceptable because they really need to crack down on work. But he's like, but we should be, I get that, but we should be doing this too. And
let's call him Jacob.
Jacob? Sure.
Yeah. Jacob is, he's trying to bring that Christmas cheer at a time where they're like, we need to get to work. We want to get back soon, and we can't with your nonsense, you know? I could even see like somebody tries to introduce a Christmas tree, and like again, this would be kind of hopping around a bit, but I just have this kind of image of him putting a tree up, and then at some point the tree is burning, and people are like, "What happened?" Like it's on a boat. Like somebody set a fire on a boat.
Sure.
So he's upset because like they didn't have to. Like who did it? But also the absolute safety concerns of we're in the middle of the ocean and you're setting fires, you know.
Very
and it's
true.
like. But who did it? Now, we know that none of them did it. But still, I think we kind of start understanding what are some of the scenarios that we can slow burn build upon that we can have. Yeah. All right. So I think we're getting into the fishermen themselves. The crew are failing. The tension's building. Jacob's annoying everybody. I think we're going to want to now know what triggers this apparition. I think we're kind of now at that point of like, what is it? Did they come across something, or was it something that they brought on board with them? It doesn't have to be physical, but I think for storytelling, it is the Pandora's box metaphor. Like, is there something that does trigger it? Or is it not? Is it just, it's in the wind, you know? Like, it came with them.
What I kind of like the thought of is oftentimes ghosts are connected to like very intense emotion. So kind of what I'm thinking, because, you know, Christmas is a very emotional time of year. There's a lot of that energy in the air. So while they're way out in the, you know, deep, dark ocean, there's all this concentrated energy brewing in this one space that kind of brings this thing out of the ether.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was Hell House by Richard Matheson. He wrote I Am Legend. It's a real good book, and it talks about the haunting being the concentration of negative energy.
Yeah. And
what the people are coming into this haunted space to do is to try to basically vacuum out that energy, but it overtakes them, you know? So actually, I enjoy that thing of there's so much grief on this boat from maybe a variety of different people, but really concentrated from our lead, Thomas, and like that's what manifests this thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I have this vision of like a tracking shot while they're sleeping, like going past their bunks and their cabins to like seeing something kind of rattling and and it's like a spark of something, or maybe it is the actual the tree lighting on fire is the inciting incident. I get it.
Incident, yeah.
Not inciting incident, but like, yeah, it's the trigger, the spark
Sure.
of this thing, because there's a very physical element to that
Yeah.
that I think is quite nice. It gets them all up. They're awake. They're probably still half drunk, flopping about. The boat's rocking.
Yeah.
It could be such a chaotic moment, and then they start fighting and feuding over who did it, and you've got the various characters' point of views. But that's how you've kind of just built I think you'd have to really visualize the negativity within them to kind of convey that there's this atmosphere that led to the spark, I suppose.
Yeah. And I think too, then we have kind of a good spot to ramp things up for Tom's character, because while he's trying to get away from his family, he doesn't, like, he would love to be able to spend Christmas happily with them, but he can't do that right now.
Yeah.
And so this act of someone burning a Christmas tree, that tree to him was kind of like a piece of what he was looking for. So then it being destroyed is like this explosion from him of like, who the hell did this? And he's angry and he's trying to figure it out, because it feels like just another thing that's preventing him from being able to have any level of festive connection with his family, I suppose.
It's true. And even his personality, I could see him taking bigger risks at this trip. And that's where Matthew's like, look, I saw you get like half, like nearly fall over the edge of the boat trying to pull in this net that got tangled. And it's like, you don't need to be taking these risks,
I also like the thought of
risk.
him like intentionally sabotaging certain things so that they're out there for longer than they need to be, because he can't face going back.
Interesting.
So like, not like directly, but like he's not doing his job as well as everyone knows he's capable of doing it, because he doesn't want to go back yet. He can't do it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I like that. So we've got the Christmas tree burned, which is actually quite nice to kick it off with that, where they're like basically canceling Christmas on these guys.
Sure.
And then I think we want to see a ratcheting up gradually of tension. We've got their mistrust, we've got their frustration. There also could be the destruction of the whiskey. Maybe not all the booze, because I kind of see that they... I do think you're going to want that kind of drunkenness to continue, but to something that would really rile them up would be to destroy their whiskey or whatever.
It's very true. It's very true.
They walk into that storage area and it's just soaking wet, and then maybe someone dropped, like, that's when somebody comes in with like a candle and they're like, nope, keep it away, like, you know.
Sure. Yeah, they
This
walk
thing is
in,
100
because
proof.
obviously they're not going to have access to electricity out here, so they use candlelight at night. So he walks in holding a candle, and then they're smelling. They're like, "Why does everything smells like whiskey?" And then they realize it's everywhere, and maybe they're in the middle of the room by this point. So it's this scene of like, "Holy shit! Okay, we have to be really careful with how we navigate through this space now," because he's holding flame in a room doused in alcohol. And didn't realize it until he was pretty far in.
And I wonder if there was actually somebody there, like, that sleepwalked in, and the person's like, I didn't do it. And they're like, we found you in a room with just smashed bottles of whiskey, Like, is it that we don't know who did it? So kind of the thing, like, mistrust? Or is it that somebody's been kind of brought in there and now they're to blame? Like, we can go two different ways with it, where we can be...
I like the thought of them having known each other for a long time. So, like, I don't think it's some new person who they're automatically blaming. I think it's just, like, trust between these people who have known each other is kind of falling apart.
Okay. So do you think the room should be empty but smashed up rather than somebody...
Oh, I see what I think I misunderstood what you were asking me.
It's like, do we put somebody in there and it's like, what'd you do? It's like, I didn't do it. Like, I don't know. Like, but like, I don't even like...
Yeah,
like,
sure.
You walked in, and that's
not?
that kind of, you give it immediate blame, and the person is just constantly walking around going, I didn't do it. Like, I didn't. I'm actually sober. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something fun about that, because then it's again more. There's the the reality question coming in, going like, no, it isn't. Of course, it's not a ghost. It was Jacob. Like, Jacob did it because he got mad at the crew for destroying the tree, and it's like, no one did it. Like, we didn't do it.
Yeah.
So they're feeling like that there's this prank war that's escalating when really it's something else.
Mm-hmm.
I think
that kind of leads into like mischievous stuff around Christmas, because you kind of have that. There's often like little tricks being played by kids and things like that, and that kind of you're evoking that in a sloppy, drunk adult way.
Yeah, there's the elf on the shelf thing where at night there's supposed to be this magical elf playing tricks on you. Like we do that at my house, where I'll wake up and my feet have my toenails are painted, and I'm like, who did that? And the kids are just giggling and pointing the whole time. Sure. But yeah, this is the mean-spirited adult drunken version of that.
Yeah.
Excellent. I think we're going to want to now have somebody see something, like,
yes,
that's the two kind of like, we know as an audience that there's something wrong. We need to introduce that to somebody who they don't believe. Now, who would that be? Is it going to be Thomas because he's not in a good place, so he starts to see something? Or is he going to be one of the last people who believes it is something, because it turns out he's the one who's actually manifesting this with his grief?
I think maybe Thomas does experience something, but he doesn't realize that it's not normal because he's so intensely emotional right now that he kind of just like writes it off, and not like seeing something and then going, oh, I must be imagining things, but like thinking that his brain is filling in blanks that aren't there. Like if he were looking out into like the fog one morning and saw the fog like twist in a weird way that kind of looked like something that wouldn't normally be there, some manifestation twisting in the fog itself, and then he's like thinking that it's his head like conjuring these things because he's not willing to face it himself, and it's kind of his mind like forcing him to.
I could see that. I could even see him being drawn out to that view with the voices on the wind. Or
you could hear like some weird lullaby very vaguely kind of traveling.
Oh my God, in the middle of fucking nowhere? Like, that would be great. He's like, where's the sound coming from? They're all asleep.
Yeah.
He goes and starts to investigate out in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Yeah, I can see that. And then he goes back in. Probably doesn't tell many people, Like, it takes a bit of time before he'll even mention it. Or maybe he has another occurrence of that. So maybe he asks somebody, and they're like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, it's probably nothing. Like,
Sure.
That kind of like cautious,
like asking, like, did you guys see if we like went past another boat at some point?
Yeah.
Because he's thinking that it had to come from somewhere.
Yeah, or is there like did somebody have a Jack in the Box, like a wind-up toy that they brought with them? In fact, maybe he could find something like that. Like he starts digging around people's gear, and he finds this like this box, this not jewelry box, but this music box, and he's like, that must be it. Somebody comes in, sees him messing with their stuff, more friction is caused. He's like, I was just looking for this, and they're like, my wife gave that to me. And people tease the guy because he's now on a trip with a little music box, and it's like just more of the, is this real, is it not? Can it be explained away by reality? That wasn't the sound he heard, but it's a sound that can be played.
Yeah.
So there's something quite nice about that.
Yeah, I like that.
I think we're going to have to piece somebody very soon. So is somebody going overboard, or are we even doing that people die on this trip?
Well, see, that's something we do have to consider, because I don't think it's entirely required for this story to work.
No, I just thought that, going, wait a second, who even said we needed to kill somebody?
Yeah, we could, but I don't think we necessarily need to. Maybe
there is the really, I think what would actually suit us quite nicely is somebody disappears. So
that's kind of what I was thinking.
They went overboard, and it's just like, he's gone. And it's like, yeah. It's like, what do you mean he's gone? And it's like, he's just not here. Like, he fell overboard, and it's like he probably got into the stash and went for a walk at night.
And if
like
we wanted to, we could have it be that the night prior to that, while everyone was drinking, this guy started talking about how bad he felt about leaving his family alone. So then there's this, lingering question of like, did he just like tap out because he, was feeling really guilty about what happened, or is there something else going on here? Or,
I like it.
and those two things can also be the same thing. Because again, this ghost I'm kind of seeing is like a manifestation of these emotions. So if he did decide to do that, it doesn't necessarily mean that it wasn't also because of this thing. Maybe it like visited him in the night.
I really like that. I do.
I would love
Yeah.
the image at some point of someone like looking out one of the ports at night from like below deck or something and seeing some entity floating out there that like makes them face the reality of the state that they're creating for the holidays for their family.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's really good. I think we actually are also, as I said, ratcheting up quite nicely. Like it's escalating,
Yeah.
and we get to that point. I feel like we've earned the disappearance, and then that gets really serious with people saying we got to go back, and it's like we need to actually catch the fish. So focus, like you know, and it's a real.
That's true, because then we
Real
do
conflict.
have some people on board who like genuinely like if this trip doesn't go right, like they're done. It's bad. So while
Yeah.
there are some people who are like, we lost someone, we have to go back, there are others who are like, not a chance in hell,
Yeah.
because my life will be, this guy is gone already. My life will be over if we do that.
Or people going, can we go back and look for him? He's gone. Like he's
Yeah,
not
like
surviving.
look for where.
Yeah. I love that. I love all the options that people and the conflict that we're creating in these moments, because you're going to want a lot of that because it's a locked off chamber piece of a story.
This makes me want to write this script, man. This is cool.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's actually what happens a lot when we do this. Is the first when we do this, people are like, "Oh my god, we should do that."
Yeah.
That's what I love about this. It's just out of a pure conversation. There's so much can happen, and it just comes down to options. Like it's tough staring at a blank page. That's why with this, it originally began with just a dinner conversation with people where I get the entire table coming up with an idea, because I just give them options, so that they can't just come up with something from scratch, but you go pick a genre, pick a time frame, pick a career.
Well,
and
it's different for me too, because when I'm writing, I'm very much a planner. Like I write out beat sheets, and then I'll do treatments, and then I'll slowly ease into fleshing the story out. So this is a very different approach to it for me.
Yeah, we call it the dirty first draft.
Yeah,
Like, it's like just explore, and there's no wrong answers. It's all blue sky. And it's not blue sky on that boat.
No,
though.
it's gray skies for sure.
Yeah. All right. So I think we're going to really want a significant moment coming up now.
Yeah.
Like we're going to want to reveal some cards to somebody. Like they're going to have to see something. Maybe it is actually out that port. But actually, I think that still is vague enough. I think you're going to want something significant that one person sees that flips them out. Because then from then on, we're going to start having people see something significant. So it divides the boat into, there's something here. No, there's not. You're crazy. And that basically creates a bit of a civil war on board, because we got to get out of here. We got to do our job. There's something on the boat. You're crazy. And that's the piece what we need to get to right now.
I kind of have an idea.
Okay.
It's pulling slightly from something I'm already writing, but I think it's different enough that it's fine. I can use it twice. But what if this spirit, who, does represent all of these things, but what if it's was like the widow of someone who died at sea like during the Christmas season, and was like furious at the fact that someone would not only leave the family, but obviously illogically furious, but that they would die and leave their family even more alone at a time when they should have just stayed the hell home. So now we have this spirit that's kind of slowly trying to either get these guys to like get their shit together and realize what they should be doing, or is just knocking them out. So like what we could have is we could have one of the guys like maybe hearing the lullaby, and he goes out onto the deck at night, and this spirit is on top of one of the masts and kind of like swoops down and almost knocks him off board, but he manages to stop it from happening. So now he's been like, he's seen something directly, he's been attacked by something. And so then now we have this like tangible threat that he's trying to get the other people to talk about. And maybe we have other people who've had like weird dreams on the boat over the last couple nights. So there's some people who are like kind of weirded out by what he's saying, but no one's willing to be like, yeah, this happened to me. But
I really like that. Yes, I think we absolutely do that. And then we have another scenario like the next night. I can picture someone in bed, and then a woman appears in front of them, gets on top of them, you know, and then invites them out, and they go out, and then they're gone, you know. Sure. And it's like, maybe they're not gone, but because I'm wondering, then it's only the audience that saw that, but maybe they're saved from about to be going overboard, so that they have a story to tell that they saw something, you know. Because again, my thinking is, if he disappears, there's nobody to tell that there was a woman there, so it was only for the audience's sake.
Yeah, and I tend to try to avoid anything that's just for the audience.
Right.
I want it to be very like driven by what's happening to these characters in the story, so I like that.
And that gets us 2 in a row with people seeing something, and one person like actually they both nearly died, and that was kind of the pull to pull them off the boat. So that's kind of what was also a recurrent thing, is like staying on the boat, staying inside at night. Yeah. Because there's something
like don't go on the decks at night.
Yeah, and there's something drawing them individually out, and they'll never come back. Yeah. And that's a very simple threat that they can understand and the audience can get across. It's like, just do not go out on that deck at night. Like, maybe and there's something coming in to pull them out.
For whatever reason, like they were transferring things at one point, and a really good chunk of like their food supply is on the deck, and so now they're kind of in this conflict of like it not being safe to go out there, but they have to, because that's where their sustenance is.
Right. Yeah, I can see this.
It wouldn't be up there, so maybe that doesn't.
No, but I can see it being very clear to them at a certain point. Like, we'll continue that for a little bit. There'll be the tension and the conflict, but eventually you'll want to get across the point that, like, Matthew's like, there's no going out there at night. But then there's one night where they're all awake, because now they're fearful, they're sketchy, they're looking at each other, and then they all hear something outside.
Yeah.
And they're like, we got to go check it. And it's like, I'm not going, but like, it's clear. It's the lullaby thing, you know? And the guy pulls his music box out. No, the box is here. And they're all looking at each other going, well, what's outside, you know? Yeah. Which is actually giving me goosebumps just considering that idea. I can just see the pushing in on the cabin door that's closed. And it's like, who's going to go out there and look? Mm-hmm. Even though we've just said we're not going, but something is out there.
Yeah.
And that could actually, then what do you think? I guess somebody should go outside, right?
I think so.
Do we see them, or do they never come back?
I think Matthew goes outside, and then we just don't see him again.
Amazing. They lose the captain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree.
We lose the mediator.
And considering what I think the vibe you're going for, never seeing those kind of the death is so haunting. It's so more psychological. Like,
maybe he goes out and then the music just like shuts off after a couple seconds. It just stops, and then they're left in silence. They wait like a while. He doesn't come back. Nothing's happening. They're looking out. They see nothing out there, and it's gone. We never see him again.
Yeah. Thomas wants to go out. Jacob grabs him, going like, "Are you going to come back then?" You know, like. Yeah. It's like, we can't let him go. It's like, he's gone. Like, he's gone. And they wait till morning. There's no one. Maybe like his glove is on the ground, or there's some kind of thing that was left behind, you know?
Yeah, sure.
And it's just rolling. It's kind of gliding across the deck as the waves hit. That's amazing. I feel like we've totally earned that too. And now they've got no captain. Now it's what is the word? It's mutiny. It's like, then people are going to turn around. I think at this point they're like, we're going back, because they
Yeah.
still have a distance to get to, and they
I think
probably
so.
have one more night. Like we have one more night before
Yeah.
we get home.
Even if we head back now, it's still going to take us like a day or two. So we'll
Yeah.
still have more of it, like, Yeah, I like that.
And I think with one more night left, that's going to be our climax, right?
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
can they survive this night? We've lost a few people. There's more infighting than ever before. There's people who are just slam drunk. They're like, forget it. So you've got insubordination, you've got fights, you've got conflict, and we have the last evening where, and this is, I guess, we have to bring Thomas back in and kind of find his arc within this. Like, what's
Yes.
he overcoming with this? Because we've been playing a lot on the plot, which is fine because, it's off the top of our heads. But I think we'd want to investigate a little bit about his character and what the lesson he's learning, the theme that he's kind of
He's
playing
been
in.
very avoidant the whole time, and he's keeping himself isolated, and he's not willing to face things. So I think even if we just have him like protecting Jacob from something that happens, then we have him being more active in terms of like being present for another person in a way that we hadn't seen up to that point.
Okay.
That's at least a start of something.
So I'm thinking with Matthew gone, it's 2 nights. And the first night, Thomas saves Jacob. So he's been a bit activated. And then we have that final night where they can basically confront this entity.
Sure.
So I like that because, you want to see his gradual kind of moments. So that makes sense that he saves Jacob. He's the young guy. He's the optimist.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like Jacob has the young family. It kind of helps that like we have Tom talking, and I think eventually it doesn't have to happen here, but Tom should be saying to Jacob like, "You never do this again. Like if you need to work around Christmas, you find something else to do. You can't be leaving your family." Like he's coming around to this realization now, and obviously we need to flesh out what it is that brought him to that realization.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think I like that idea of him like really pushing for Jacob to not make the same mistakes that he's making because he lost a son, and it's like you may not, get Christmas with him if you're not careful.
Yeah, you're gonna miss too many until you don't get any.
Yep.
You miss too many until you don't get any. He's got to put the booze down, so he's that's not helping. That's a very specific moment for him, like that, because on land he's been using that to avoid the truth. So I mean, I guess like should he have this like real heart to heart with Jacob where he finally opens up about it, and even as an audience for the first time we're actually hearing about it, and maybe it was something. Do we go on the nose too much and be like it's actually his fault, or was it like his son was lost at sea? Or I feel like part of it is him literally discussing what happened because he's been avoiding it the entire time, and anytime it's brought up he runs away. Like literally he heads to the tavern. That could be the opening scene with the wife where she's about to talk about it and just slams the door and he's gone.
I don't know if I want him to make so much progress that he's like opening up about this by the end, because I think that he's the kind of character who like will never fully open up. But I do think that if we can get him showing some progress through the things that he's telling Jacob and the way that he behaves upon returning home, I think that will illustrate that he may not have he's not opening up and like espousing about what happened. But
maybe like a phrase like it was my fault, and even if it may not have been, that's his issue.
Sure.
You just get that little thing, and they all know what happened, so it's not like it's secret to them, but like they just know never talk about it to him, And after he saves Jacob, he's looking at Jacob, sees a bit of a version of himself, as a younger man, and maybe the choices he should have made, which is very Ebenezer.
Yes, true.
And that's when he goes like, it was my fault. And then he moved. I like it because it's stoic, it's minimalist. It makes sense. And I think you're right. You don't want a character like that it's unrealistic that somebody like that would do such a transformation.
Yeah.
And less is more with these kind of characters anyway.
Sure, yeah,
Like
I
that
agree.
little line can linger and the audience go, oh my God. You know, like,
Yeah.
what was it? And keep it like, I don't mind if we never find out what
I don't
happened.
think we need to know, yeah.
But there is exploration of, we find out that it wasn't his fault. But I don't mind. Like, this is getting real.
I think
picking
even
up
if
the nits.
when he says like it was my fault, maybe we could have a reaction from someone who like knows him really well, who like kind of like shakes their head like this, like they know he's full of shit, but they've had this conversation many times, and he's like he's not going to go through it again, but he's just like it wasn't, but like whatever.
Yeah.
Just
I
for like
like
a
it.
subtle like physical performance, I think you could get that across.
That's true. Now I think we're kind of ramping into the climax, and I'm just curious what that looks like. What is the because we're gonna want him going back to shore.
Yes.
But like, so he survives the night. Does he banish the entity? Is it that he overcomes them or just survives them?
I wonder if, I mean, we could go full Jaws with this, have the boat be destroyed and he has to swim back through like the cold winter water.
Oh wow, I do really like that. It is an ending. Interesting, especially because maybe they can see the lighthouse. Boom, there's your lighthouse. But yeah, because then there's a stakes to it. Then there's a time stakes. It's like they can see land; they're nearly there, but like it's getting worse.
Yep.
And can they survive? So then, when the boat is destroyed, it's practical that the audience go, okay, yeah, like he needs to get to that light to survive. That's really interesting. Yeah. I think that is the inevitability of the conflict with the entity.
Kind of where it feels like. And I like the thought that he has to like really work to get home, because that's showing his like commitment to his, wanting to be there with his family after all that.
Yeah.
He's going through that like frigid water.
And then what would the conflict be? Because I can imagine there's a bit more of the crew left. Like, let's pick a number. Like, is it 5 or 7 people? Like, I don't mind. Like, we'll figure out the details.
Yeah.
But they're probably gearing up for one last night, and they're ready for it. They're not going to go out. The door. Actually, yeah, it could be something like they're not going out, but then the door is blown in. And like, so it's coming into them, and I think we're now. Oh, we have to see something, right? I feel like this is a climax where there is something that comes inside, and like it's present there. Because there's another version of this where they end up tearing the boat apart, and he's telling them, "Stop it! Like, this is what it wants you to do."
Sure.
Like, because we're not going out, so it's getting you to tear.
Yeah, maybe it's
tear
like
it
trying
apart.
to sort of in a way make them face how it sees what they're doing with their families, like just ripping it apart and destroying. They're not present, and so it wants to make them like accept who they are, kind of.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, there's something there for sure. Or does it possess somebody? Does somebody get taken over and start reacting? Because then you don't need to see something, but you see, like, you get the presence, but in a human form.
Sure.
And it's tearing apart the boat, and then they're trying to stop it, and it runs out into the darkness, and they have to go get him.
Yeah, you could do that for sure.
Yeah. There's a few different ways we can go. And I think we're right at the edge of like cracking it. It's like, how do you get to the boat being destroyed and overcoming or defeating this apparition?
And I'm trying to balance, because oftentimes the movies that I really like have kind of anticlimactic horror endings.
Okay.
So I'm trying to not do that, because I do think we need a proper climax for this. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about how we get there.
Is it a religious thing? Is there somebody that we can put on that boat that is religious, that they can kind of...
Well, we're dealing with the Maritimes, and especially in the 19th century, I think they're probably all religious.
Yeah.
At this point.
the son of a preacher or something like that.
Yeah,
You
maybe
know?
something like that. And maybe he got into something when he was younger, and his dad was, wouldn't let him work in the church or something, and so he's here because it's the only work he could find.
Yeah, they got that Bible with them.
Yeah,
and they try that. Like there could even be, if that isn't the climax, that could also be a scene where they're trying to basically exercise the boat, and people are not having it. They're like, this is ridiculous. Well, then you go outside.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't want this, you go outside.
Yeah, sure.
And then no one leaves. And then you have another match cut where they're all part of the ceremony.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
So, yeah. In my mind, I see this kind of, not explosion, but an impact of some kind. And I think that's what we're trying to discover with this. Yeah. And that impact could also impact the structure of the boat itself. Like, I agree that some of these stories can be anticlimactic, and they've weathered the storm physically and metaphorically. But I kind of feel like we've been ratcheting to something that crescendos. Mm-hmm. Like, what is that? It's a confrontation with this entity. I love the idea that because they don't go out, it comes in, and now they have to face it and confront basically their inner demons.
Yeah.
It's kind of where we're at, but I haven't really figured out what the climax of that final confrontation actually is.
Yeah. Sure.
Is it with the actual entity itself? Like,
I don't know if it needs to be, honestly.
Yeah?
I think it could be something where, like, their interactions with this thing have led them into a position where, like, they're distracted by something and they hit a rock by accident and that breaks something. And now we kind of have this thing that's, like, feels like it's done what it needs to do.
I can see physically with the idea that the door is blown open, that it gets really, like, windy. Like, there's an unnatural wind just ripping through that cabin that they're all collected into, you know?
Yeah.
That's the kind of, like, movement that I'm kind of picturing here. I see that where it feels larger. It feels like there's even, like, a cyclone that's inside their cabin just swirling around.
Sure.
And, like, that's where, like, and basically they got to exhume that. Like, how do you get that out? And maybe once that happens, then they hit the rock, you know? Or something like that. They can see the lighthouse in the distance. Actually, it could be a thing where they're being pulled away from it. Like, they're going towards the lighthouse, and all of a sudden they're not. So somebody has to go and steer to right the ship back home.
Sure.
That could be quite nice too, because what you were saying is, like, they're avoiding their family and they have to fight to get home. So this is the big conflict where they have to go and get the ship back on track.
Very true.
People are dropping off one by one. Not too many, but I think you do want a bit of the stakes raised because of this. Sure. And then you finally have that moment where they overcome the entity.
Yeah. I like this.
Yeah.
We're in a good spot right now.
Yeah. I guess all I feel like I'm missing is, like, what's that moment? Like, does it pop? Does it disappear? I actually really like the cyclone of wind just being pulled out, and it's just nothing. It's empty. Similar to actually I was saying with Hell House, funny enough, where they just vacuum hoover the space out. So you don't, if you want, you can have a spectral entity or the metaphor of that rocky turbulence calming down, and then they smash into a rock.
Yeah, I love it. I think you got it.
Yeah, I think that's it. And so then it ends with the boat being destroyed and him and Jacob splashing back, or a couple of the guys.
Yeah, honestly, maybe it might be a little kitschy, but if we can get them back on Christmas Eve, and then he stumbles in, like, soaked and freezing and cold into his family sitting by a warm fire on Christmas Eve.
I think it's great. There's nothing kitschy about it. I think we've earned that.
Okay.
You know? You know, it's it's getting really late. And he gets in there just in time, and yeah, it's kind of nice seeing him with his family again. The warm fire, he's embraced and kind of.
He's probably like swimming through that kind of water. He's probably like almost dead. So he's got there's some nursing that has to happen there, but
yeah. And now he's come home.
Yeah. And then I think it can just end there.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think you're like pulling out of the house basically, and like you're leaving them alone. Like we know that now he's come home. The weight of it is there visually. And so, like, you don't even need a scene of, like, we can finally talk about it. It's like, no, he's come home.
No.
Yeah, he's come home.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's it. That is the end of the film. Yeah. What do you think, Evan?
Like it. I think it's great. I love it. I've been writing tons of scripts recently, and that just made me want to, like, write that one, too. So
that's perfect.
It's a good sign.
Excellent. Well, I hope the listeners and the viewers liked it, too.
Yeah.
Evan, thank you so much for joining us for this episode. And for anybody else, if you want to catch more, definitely check out the YouTube channel where we have this session as well as our previous run of material. Our last tour that we had was based on the Halloween franchise. So you can check all of those out on a playlist as well. So Evan, one last time, thank you so much for joining. And for everyone else, see you next time for another episode of Storybreakers. Take care.